Hello, everyone. I am Lee Carroll.
I'm Monica Morani.
And I'm Marilyn Harper.
This is a Fifth Wednesday special. It is the second program we've ever done. We enjoyed the first one and doing it so much, we're going to do the same kind of a thing this time. We have Marilyn Harper, we have myself, and Monica is going to be the moderator for some fun times.
Absolutely. And before we begin, I want to remind everyone of the format of this particular program. We are going to be approximately 1 hour, and in that 1 hour, I'm going to be asking questions to Lee and Marilyn. And then after we've had a moment where we've shared some of those details that you may not have known about our two favourite channelers, well, at least I'm biased, okay, my two favourite channelers. Well, that's going to get me in trouble because I have a lot of other channeling friends. Okay, moving right along, I'm going to ask questions to Lee and Marilyn as individuals, and then what we're going to do is create space to allow Marilyn and Lee to bring in the energies of Kryon and Adironda, and then I will be asking questions of Kryon and Adironda. And I hope you are ready for a fun evening because that's what we are here for. And for the questions this evening, I would like us to travel all the way to Egypt because we have been to Egypt several times and we've had the honour and privilege of having Marilyn and Joy with us on some of those trips in Egypt. And there's so many funny stories and experiences that we've had that's going to be my theme and subject for this evening. So starting with Marilyn, I would like to know, Marilyn, about some of the experiences that are more memorable for you in Egypt.
Let's see. The fact that a lot of the people that are in Egypt are close to the same height as me. I love that part. And, you know, in Egypt, it was just so magnificent. I mean, Isis, who is on the council, and Sekhmet, who is on the council, and they have been since the beginning of my channeling experience, to channel Isis in the temple of Isis and Sekhmet in the temple of Sekhmet was so powerful. I remember, I wasn't aware of it at the time because I'm a trance channel, but I remember being told afterwards when I channeled Sekhmet that a cat, you know, Sekhmet is the goddess of destruction and the goddess of creation, head of a lion, body of a woman, in case you don't know that. But a cat came into the group of, 140 people or so, came into the group and paused during the channel in front of each person. It was so heartwarming to see. It's like Sekhmet brought this fellow feline in to give honor to that, and then to go into the little room where this black statue of Sekhmet was. Oh, it was so powerful indeed.
So I want to interrupt right there because there's people listening to this and I want to be able to set the scene for what Marilyn was describing. It is the Temple of Karnak, which is in Egypt, and the Temple of Karnak had many, many statues of Sekhmet. And if you go there today, it's an enormous complex, and there's actually an avenue of the Sphinx which connects it to Luxor Temple, and I believe they're slowly restoring that avenue of the Sphinx, and it's actually incredible. Every time you go back to Egypt, there is such a push for archaeology and for Egyptians to take ownership of their own history and the archaeology, that there are so many digs happening each season, so much being revealed and so many things being restored. So back to the Temple of Karnak. Over decades, there have been quite a lot of destruction that took place of these monuments and temples and buildings within Egypt. A lot of defacing. So one of the things they do to deface is to chop off the nose on statues and try and smear out the images. And the Temple of Karnak had a lot of statues of Sekhmet absolutely destroyed. And the way I was introduced to the small room Marilyn just spoke of a moment ago was from a lady who talked about the shrine of Sekhmet in a darkened room. And before we got there, she was telling us Sekhmet is the goddess of creation and destruction as well. And it has a lot of power between the energies of destruction and creation. And there was a lot of, she said, superstition around this one place, believed to have energies that nobody wanted to destroy this particular statue. And what's unusual about this particular Sekhmet in this area is it's in a very small room that maybe holds 10 to 15 people. There's hardly any windows, and it's sequestered from the rest of the complex. And through great privilege, we've been able to go and visit Sekhmet in this particular darkened room and have kind of personal time. It's not generally open to the public. It's behind a locked door. Marilyn just spoke of her experience. And again, the lady that first introduced us to this area said that the statue for her is alive, and every time she goes there, she's always seeing the whiskers of the statue move. So this was the introduction to this statue, and Marilyn just talked a little bit about that profound experience she had. And I know Lee had a similar one, so I want to ask Lee, how was that for you? And I know, Marilyn, there's more to your story.
Yes.
So first, let's hear from Lee.
Also, my history on that one was a little different. I heard from one of the guides that when they were originally, when they were around destroying some of the things at Karnak, like you pointed out, the reason they didn't was because of fear, that they felt an energy there, Sekhmet being destruction and creation, and they were afraid. And so this is why also that statue is pretty well intact. What's interesting to me, and it always was interesting, was why the small room? Why isn't it being displayed in a bigger place? I don't think they want to move it for the, for the same reasons. So. And so it is in this small room, not open to the public, but generally open to those in touring groups. I've seen many, if you go there with a group, they often will open it for your group to have a look. Well, you also should know a little bit more about my stance on things. When people were telling me they saw it move, they saw these things, it did this or that, it's like when people tell me other things that go on that what I say is, I didn't see anything, show me. So I've been a little bit of a detractor when it comes to, I've got to, believing and seeing. I'm very stubborn with these things. You got to remember also, Kryon came to me in my mid-40s. It wasn't when I was a kid. So I had I had 4 decades of disbelief. You want to say that. So it takes a lot for me to say, okay, you're all right. And when somebody says, well, I saw this and this and happened, they moved there and they went there, and and I say, okay, I didn't see it. You did, I didn't, call it a day. I went into that, it was the second or third time I'd been there, and I wasn't really expecting anything more than I saw perhaps the first time. This time she moved. And when it took place, I said, no, couldn't be. And so, you do those double takes, like, okay, fine, do it again. And she moved. And I said, do it again. And she moved. Then I brought Monica over. So I'm going to ask Monica at this point in time.
So I know that we've actually touched on one of these subjects before, back in the very early Healing Wednesday programs, when we were first kind of revealing experiences of us before we went to the question and answer section. So there are some Healing Wednesday episodes where we've talked about this, but I feel that we actually are teasing out more information than we revealed the first time. And Lee was asking me in the room, Monica, did you see Sekhmet move? And I was looking and I'm thinking, no. And then Lee's like, she's moving. Monica, she's moving. And so I start kind of getting annoyed and angry and upset because I'm looking at Sekhmet and I'm like, Lee, she is not moving. She's not moving. And Lee is insisting that she's moving. I don't remember what it was, whether she was blinking her eyes or she was blinking her eyes. Yeah. So Lee's saying she's blinking, Monica, her eyes, she's blinking her eyes. And I was so upset and angry. And I said, she's not moving, Lee. And internally, I said, why am I not seeing this move? This is not fair. And then when I looked at Sekhmet, she did this. She blinked one eye so slowly, and that was it. And I thought, wow, Lee gets this plethora of eyelash moving and blinking, and I get... And for me, I laughed so much because it was Spirit really, or Sekhmet, who, really having fun with me.
To me, it was obvious. I'm always saying, okay, what are the attributes that might cause that? With my eyesight, the light that's there, it's low light, so was it something that we're just imagining because we wanted it to happen? But for me, it happened numbers of times. And for you, it was very deliberate.
It was deliberate.
Yeah.
Slow motion.
Slow motion.
One eyelid blink, and that was it.
Yeah.
It was like she was winking at you.
Yeah.
And I'll just tell everybody, it's the first time I ever got to really see that kind of a thing in my entire channeling career, because I'm not one who sees much of colors or anything else.
Correct.
I just channel.
Correct. Now, there was also another time, Marilyn, when I was in the same room with Sekhmet and you stepped forward and then something happened. Can you share that with us?
Yes, the next time we came in, there was, from the different year, there was actually a barrier between where you could stand and Sekhmet, because I guess people were getting too close and touching or whatever, because you really shouldn't do that. But there was this barrier. Well, we were there in this tiny, darkened room, and I thought, I want to stand next to her. And so I crossed the barrier. Don't tell anyone, though. I crossed.
Too late, Marilyn. I'm sorry.
Right.
I crossed the barrier and I stood right next to this huge statue of Sekhmet who was on the council, and I'm thinking, somebody please take my picture. Somebody please take my picture. And I honestly felt, you see moving and winking, I felt Sekhmet's hand and shoulder move next to me, and she placed her hand on my back and kind of stroked it up and down. And I'm like, is this real? Did this happen? And that's when they took the picture, of course, where I had this shocked expression on my face. But it was so warm. I mean, this is a statue. I don't know what the material is, but you don't expect it to be warm. And the hand on my back was so warm. It wasn't hot or uncomfortable. It was just warm, like life right there. And I thought, okay, I'll step back. I'll cross the barrier again. But it was so profound to actually feel that energy. And it's very, very cool.
Yeah. So back to our Egypt trip, there is a tradition that our host, Ilan Cohen, who has taken us to Egypt and many places all over the world, he likes to have fun. And one particular evening, he wanted everybody to wear a galabeya. So a galabeya is what they wear in Egypt. It's almost like long dress, if you will.
It is a long dress.
And so
It absolutely
exactly
is a
what it
long
is.
dress.
Galabeya is a
And
long
I'm
dress.
terrible in long
That's
dresses.
right.
It is a long dress. It's a galabeya, and Ilan purchased galabeya for everybody in the tour, and he wanted everyone to wear it in the evening. And so I'm revealing something now about Lee and Marilyn that I'm aware of, where they both just said, it isn't like a long dress. It is a long dress. And Lee does not necessarily like dressing up for any kind of costumes, things like that. Marilyn does not want to wear a long dress. And so the immediate response to Ilan is no. I am not going to wear the galabeya. Is this
Not going to
correct?
wear a long dress
That is
today.
correct.
Right,
First of all, they would have to cut the long dress off in half
That's true.
for me to wear it, which changes the whole shape. But
Well,
it's like,
and I did not have matching earrings, so I'm not going to go with a long dress. Not this time.
no,
No.
absolutely.
But
No long dress.
something happened because
Well, I don't know about you, but he'd purchased this thing, and I was thinking, well, maybe I was a little too hard on him by saying no, and okay, I'll put mine on.
And I